Good evening and welcome to the City of Greenfield Public Works Department Water and Wastewater Utility Workshop. My name is Jamie Tugel, the Public Works Director here at the City of Greenfield. And I'm here tonight just to give you a little briefing of what we have been doing in water and wastewater and what we will be doing in water and wastewater, and also a small overview of our systems. The City of Greenfield has a prioritized strategic plan to ensure a safe environment for all Greenfield community members, promote a diversified, sustainable economy, ensure a healthy, enriching environment for all Greenfield residents, and develop first-in-class government structure and strategy. We want to ensure a safe environment for all Greenfield community members. We're going to provide first-in-class police protection, first-in-class fire protection and emergency medical services. We'll provide best in practice citywide infrastructure and provide best practice safe housing solutions. The City of Greenfield is also promoting a diversified, sustainable economy. We want to make Greenfield a great place to do business, and we want to promote tourism and ensure that all fees, charges, etc., are collected per the city's municipal code. The city also wants to ensure a healthy, enriching environment for all Greenfield residents. We want to participate in regional agencies to maximize positive impact on Greenfield, which we are currently doing. We want to bring existing municipal and recreational options closer to Greenfield, extend technology as wide as economically feasible. So thank you for joining on Facebook and Zoom. We're also promoting civic engagement and involvement from all segments of the community and providing appropriate housing and housing programs for all Greenfield residents. We'd also like to provide transit infrastructure to allow all residents and visitors access to a wide variety of lifestyle options. The city is maintaining parks in best practice forms, offering a wide range of sports and recreation programs for youth and adults, offering a wide range of educational and cultural programs for youth and adults, pursuing green initiatives that are sustainable and eco-friendly. The city is providing a healthy, clean environment in which to live and providing community outreach effort to secure resources and help those in need. The city hires the best qualified employees, balanced with the desire to hire local people that are also bilingual. We are striving to keep training existing employees to be first-in-class service providers and follow best practices with personnel policies and procedures. The city is increasing and maintaining transparency between all staff, leaders, and the public, implementing best practices for all internal processes, putting all city assets to the highest and best use, and enhancing revenue sources. The city is also streamlining operations in order to provide cost reductions and efficiency. We're looking at reducing legal liability exposure and developing best practice updates to Greenfield General Plan and future strategies. I'm here tonight to talk about water and wastewater. So our utility overview, we have a wastewater collection and treatment system, and we also have a water supply and distribution system. I'm going to talk first about our wastewater collection system. The city has an ongoing wastewater master plan. It's a dynamic document, and the last update we did on that was in May of 2021. It prioritizes current and future collection system needs. The city provides service to just over 3,800 customers who are connected into the sewage system. And it also provides a prioritized list of recommended projects with associated budgets. The chart that you see on this page, it actually talks about a flow projection for a planning period. We're looking at the growth in population and in construction and development. And you can see that it slowly goes to the right and it continues to increase. So with development and commercial industry coming into Greenfield and being built, that actually raises the demand for wastewater collection and treatment. There are different components to the wastewater collection system. As I mentioned, there's over 3,800 private lateral connections from properties to the sewer mains. There's a total of about 31 miles of sewer main line. And we're just over 2 acres. I'll take that back. Ranging in size from 4 inches to 24 inches in diameter. We have 6 wastewater lift stations and countless sewer manholes. What is a sewer lateral and a sewer main? A sewer lateral is the run of pipe between your building, your home, your business, and the city's sewer main in the street. All the waste in your home or business eventually goes into the sewer lateral, which then carries into the sewer main. A sewer main is the primary pipeline in a wastewater collection system that runs under the public street, collecting wastewater from the lateral connections. There's a little schematic attached in the right for you to have an idea of what that would look like underground. We don't see that. We know there are things under there, but we don't see how it works. And so I wanted to provide a schematic to show you how that ends up going to the sewer main from your home. That is shower water, flushing, washing dishes, washing machines, things of that nature. All of that waste goes to the sewer main. What is a lift station? It's a term that not a lot of people know what that is or what the function of it is. So a lift station, it's a facility and it's designed to move wastewater from a lower elevation up to a higher elevation through pipes. Key elements of a lift station include a wet well, pumps, piping, valves, motors, power supply, equipment control, and alarm systems, and also odor control and ventilation systems. The schematic on the right actually shows you that it's underground because it's collecting the wastewater from those sewer mains. So the sewer water is coming in, and then it's actually being pumped with a pump and motor up through that wet well into another pipe that will eventually get out to the wastewater treatment plant. This is to alleviate all of the different elevations that we have. Some houses are up higher than others in developments and the topography of the land. And so the goal is to get all safely to the same place. The wastewater collection system prioritized strategic plan has a lot of different components, and these are some of the main ideas here. And the wastewater collection system master plan has been complete, May of 2021, as I mentioned. That identified deficiencies and projects that the city needed to address. So those identifications have been complete. The next item is to secure funding. How are we going to pay for these recommendations that are deficient and for projects that need to be constructed? There are many different funding levels. So there are development impact fees. So every time a developer comes in and builds a home or many homes, there's a fee associated with wastewater, and that goes into future building of wastewater facilities. A wastewater rate study, periodically, we will and I'll get into that here in a little bit. We will have a wastewater rate study done because everything is dynamic. So we have to figure out what our financial needs are to keep the system running for the residents. And then grant funding. The city is constantly applying for grants. Grants are an amazing funding source for all aspects of the city. And implemented projects, there are six pipeline projects and 2 lift station projects that were identified in the master plan. 2 of the pipeline projects are in process. They are not quite under construction, but they are in design and we're getting closer. One is Apple Avenue and Walnut Avenue pipeline capacity improvements. We have a developer funded improvement on Apple between 7th and 8th Street. It's going to upsize one of the sewer mains. There are plans for that, and we're hoping to have that constructed by the end of the year. This next chart talks about the budgeting of the strategic plan for wastewater collections. So there are areas of the city that new sewers are required. Again, a lot of these are upsizing and retrofit. So we have 10th Street from Apple to Walnut. And then we have a total cost. Mind you, these costs are from the master plan in 2021. And we all know right now that costs are changing with material prices rising. So these are effective of that time. Walnut between Franchoni and 10th Street. That needs to be upsized from an 8-inch line to a 12-inch line. And that's to account for development and the need for a larger capacity to capture all of that. Walnut from 12th to Franchoni, 12th Street from Apple to Walnut, 10th Street from Walnut to Cherry, Cherry from 10th Street to El Camino Real, El Camino Real from Cherry to existing manhole in El Camino Real that's just north of Cherry. So there are quite a few things identified, and we'll be putting plans together once we can get the funding. It is strategic. It does not happen overnight, but it goes into the program so we can get them taken care of. Apple Avenue sewer deficiencies that have already been completed and eliminated through CIP projects, which are capital improvement projects. So you can see that most of them, they're all in Apple, 7th to El Camino Real, Highway 101 area, Larson, 5th Street to Highway 101, and 8th Street to 5th Street. So we do have a lot going on with wastewater collections. And just mind you that that is what's going out to our wastewater treatment plant. Because once we collect the wastewater, what do we do with it? It goes to the wastewater treatment plant. That is east of town on Walnut at the very end. And you'll see some silos out there, and that's the beginning of it. So the wastewater treatment plant, again, in 2021, we also had our wastewater treatment plant master plan updated. It identifies performance and capacity constraints at the existing wastewater plant. It addresses compliance with current and future regulations, evaluates options, and recommended improvements. This analysis considers a planning horizon all the way through 2040. Well, what is wastewater treatment? General public? Anybody? No hands in the audience. Any hands on Zoom? The city's wastewater treatment facility, it's classified as what we call secondary treatment. Secondary treatment is the removal of biodegradable organic matter using a microbial community. So I've attached a little schematic of what the flow of wastewater would be. It's a little bit small. Oh, my apologies. I can't read it either up there. But please feel free to look at this after the program and zoom in on it. It gives you an idea of how we here at the city are treating our wastewater plant. We actually end up in the very end, it goes into ponds, percolation ponds, after many cycles of treatment and goes back down into the groundwater, and it's clean. I also wanted to add just a few photos of the wastewater treatment plant. This is the secondary treatment. This is a clarifier. Looks like a pool with a lot of apparatus on it. So these are really key into the removal of the grit and solids and has the biotics going on. So it's actually a very fascinating process. Excuse me. And so I just wanted to give you an idea of what that looks like. It's not something that you see every day on the side of the road, or if you do, you don't know what it is. But it's a very key function. Now the exciting part of wastewater. The wastewater treatment plant replacement prioritized strategic plan. We are going to be building a new wastewater treatment plant. It's very exciting. We're overdue. We need to increase the capacity to satisfy all the required needs of this build out of the city. So the wastewater treatment plant replacement master plan, complete, check. We are going to assure environmental and community goals are addressed. That is ongoing. That's always going to be happening. Secure funding. Everybody always wants to know, how are we going to pay for this? Again, impact fees, the enterprise fund, which is when you're paying your fees for your sewer every month, that's going into enterprise fund. And so you're helping to fund this wastewater plant and the upkeep of it. The state water board, who we are under permit from, has actually given us a verbal commitment to provide almost all of the funding for our new wastewater plant. The city has already submitted their application, and now we just wait till it's reviewed and have to give some other information. So it's very exciting. So we're already starting to implement the new wastewater treatment plant. How do we do that? It's about a 5-year process from award of design and environmental to construction completion. We've actually already implemented the design and environmental review. Those items have gone out to bid. Contractors have been selected, and we're going to be awarding those at this next council meeting, which I believe is October 11th. Please come. Find out more about what our new wastewater plant is going to do for the city. I'm excited. I don't know if everybody else is. So the design and the environmental review, they're going to go concurrently. We're anticipating for those to commence, both actually commence with the contractors starting next month after all of the agreements are signed and approved by council. And then the fun part will be construction. In about 2 years, there's going to be a lot of equipment, a lot of contractor work happening out there on the east side of the city, building the new wastewater plant. So we're very excited. This is a big project. Really want the community to be involved and understand the importance of this and also the upkeep of it. And our employees are excited. They can't wait. They are very excited to have a new plant. So what's this going to cost? Oh, the strategic plan budget for replacement. If you just look at this and glance at the bottom on the total project costs, It's quite a large sum of money, just under $59 million. Don't forget, the water board is going to fund the majority of this project through grants funds. What are we going to do in the meantime when we have to get the design done, when we don't have the grant money? So we actually borrow from ourselves, different fund sources that do not affect other departments or other projects. So we borrow from ourselves, and then when we get the grant funding, we pay ourselves back. So that's really important to know, that we do have to expend that in the beginning, but it's coming back. So we're really excited about that. The city manager is, committed to letting the Public Works Department borrow some money. But we're looking at the planning is a lot. Facilities design and planning is a lot of financial commitment. So planning, we got to figure out where it's going to go, how it's going to lay with the existing plant still running. And then the design, there are so many levels of the design that it's grading, it's surveying, it's boring to see if the soils are stable and if we have to bring in or take out soil. It's the flow, what type of system are we going to put in? That's a whole nother topic to go into. When it gets to construction, who's going to manage that project and make sure everything's running through the DIR, the labor compliance, and that everything is built to code and to the plans? So we're going to have construction management, inspectors. We have administration. It's a lot of paperwork, not just for the grant, but for the project itself, with inspections, change orders, requests for information. There are a lot of things. Of course, there's always going to be contingencies and soft costs. Contingencies are items that come up that we have a little bit of funding for. It's like an extra bonus funding, and we can take that and go ahead and utilize it in the best need for the project. Of course, there's going to be environmental costs and legal costs. If we might have to file a LOMAR with LAFCO and FEMA, not LAFCO, FEMA. My apologies. So there are a lot of things that go into design and construction. So we are looking at a large sum of money, like I said, just under $59 million. And we're upsizing to a 2 million gallon per day system. And so this is a very large investment for our community, and we're very excited about it. And I invite anybody that has any questions to please contact me. I'll have my contact information at the end, or just wants to know more about the project. So now I'm going to switch over to water supply and distribution systems. The city, again, did an updated water master plan because everything's dynamic and things keep changing with different size systems, priorities, old pipes, what needs to happen. And that's where it prioritizes the current and future water supply system needs and provides a prioritized list of recommended projects with associated budgets. As you can see, I've added a population projection on the growth of Greenfield. Now you can see each year it goes up slightly because we're annexing in more land, which means the city is actually getting physically bigger past its original boundaries. So in order, just like wastewater, to account for that, there will have to be installations of new water mains, distribution lines, maybe a new well, which I'll be talking about as well. Water distribution has different components as well. Currently, the city has 3 water well sites and 1 future well site that we're in the process of designing and obtaining the property, procuring the property. We have storage tanks. We have 2 storage tanks. There's 1 million gallons and 1.5 million gallons. It's a lot of water. And then we have 2 booster stations. We have over 3,800 lateral connections from the water meter to the water main. And in total, we have 36 miles of water main line. Again, if you think about the size of our city, that's a lot of underground piping in addition to the wastewater. What is a water well? Anybody? A water well, it's a hole in a shaft used for the purpose of extracting groundwater in underground aquifers. The water is drawn up by a pump using containers called bowls, which are similar to small buckets, and they're raised mechanically. The depth of water can vary greatly. In the city, our wells are roughly 300 feet deep, between 250 and 300 feet deep. There are many wells that go even deeper to 800 feet, and we have such a great water supply of groundwater that we don't need to do that, which is wonderful. A water well, well water typically contains more minerals than surface water and requires treatment. The city treats our well water, we treat our well water with chlorine. And it must be maintained at certain levels to ensure that the water is healthy for consumption. So we're regulated by the water board, and our staff is always checking to make sure that we are dosing properly and not too little and not too much. So it's very strategic. You can see that the schematic on the right has some basics of what a water well looks like. Again, all these things are underground and they're not always seen. You're not sure what it really is. And so I wanted to add that in to this presentation workshop to show the community what it looks like. Does the cities look exactly like this? No, but it gives you a really good idea of how that depth and that pump go and bring the water up over to a tank. Water storage tanks and booster pumps. So on the photos, there's a storage tank. That's at our corporation yard. On the bottom photo is a schematic of a set of booster pumps. A storage tank is where the water that is produced by the water well is stored for consumption. When a customer turns on a water faucet, the water from the tank lowers as it's fed into the water mains, ultimately to the customer. Booster pumps are used for pumping the general water supply from the storage tank to the consumer. The pump generates pressure, and then that water is then carried all the way up to your faucet. And that pressure needs to be maintained in order for it to go through all these pipes and come out with pressure at your faucet. And so that's really key on these booster pumps, that they are able to function and keep up with that. And we have some good, very good running booster pumps. We also have some that need some maintenance. And so then again, that's where all these programs come in with our staff that we rotate out. What's a water lateral and a water main? Nobody. Everybody's sitting in the back of the class. A water lateral is similar to sewer. It's a run of pipe, but it's from the water meter to the city's water main. And that is the city's responsibility, from the water meter to the water main in the street. The water main is the primary pipeline in a distribution system that runs under the public street, providing water from the storage tanks to the lateral connections, then through the water meter, ultimately to the building. The schematic on the right actually shows you how that works. So you have on the left, the water main, and then, well, the schematic says it's a service line, but we call it lateral. It goes through the water meter, and then it goes onto the property and into the home. So that internal pipe work is the service, and that's the homeowner's responsibility. From the meter back to the main is actually the city's responsibility on water. I also wanted to just show a schematic of what a water supply system looks like. Again, my apologies, it's probably very small. But you have your wells on the left, and then it goes into a tank, a storage tank. And then next you'll see that there's a booster pump. And then it goes into the distribution system. So it's really simple when you're thinking about it in a grand scheme. I also wanted to include what the distribution system looks like, just as an overview. We have a lot of different size water mains, and you can see on this colorful rendering, this shows what the distribution system is. So there's a lot of pipe under that ground, and we're responsible for keeping it maintained, keeping the water flowing, and keeping it safe and healthy. And these are just the mains. Yes.
Sorry, don't mean to interrupt, but I'm just wondering what the different colors mean.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Thank you. Good question. So the dashed red line that's on the outside of everything, that's the city boundaries. Okay. The different color lines are the different pipe size diameters. It's just a recordation of what size. So for instance, this faint orange is a 3-inch line. It's like a peachy color. The red is 4-inch line. The yellow is a 6-inch line. The green is a 12-inch line. So those are indicative of what size the water main is. Yes. Diameter. There's also little circles, which again, you probably can't see right now, but the orange circles are booster stations. The green little circles, there's only 2. Those are the storage tanks. And then we have the purple little circles that are the water wells. 2 of those are outside the city limits. Question? So water supply and distribution system prioritized strategic plan. Like I said earlier, the water distribution system master plan, complete. It also identified deficiencies and what projects need to be done, complete. Our favorite topic, funding. So again, some of these items are coming from the impact fees. Developers also provide the improvements when they're developing. We have the water rate study, and we currently have $7.5 million at 50% grant secured. So we're getting 50% of that, and then we match for some of these projects. Implementing the projects. What's next? So there's a new well, a new reservoir and pump station for priority 1 items. I'll get into the priorities. And 6 priority 2 water pipeline projects. Priority 1, the highest priority. Currently, there's the new well is in process. I mentioned it earlier, that we're looking at getting an easement, and we're negotiating with the property owner whether it'll be an easement or purchase. The water supply and distribution system prioritized strategic plan, budgeting. So on these projects, we're looking at replacing cast iron water mains and upsizing as well with PVC from Maple and Palm Avenue. Elm Avenue, there's a 6-inch and an 8-inch AC or asbestos cement pipe, and we need to upsize that and upgrade it to a 12-inch for the flow along and out of PVC. 7th Street, again, they have asbestos cement pipe, it's 4-inch, and PVC. And we want to put in an 8-inch and add a hydrant at the north end of the street for fire coverage. So there's a lot of different projects. The water well supply you'll see down there is number 1-6, another water tank and storage, water storage tank and booster station. So there are a lot of things that are planned out that don't necessarily have the funding yet, but they will. It takes time. This is a phased plan. So those were all the top priorities. Those are the ones that are going to get done first. This next slide talks about the priority 2s, which is the next priority. So again, upsizing, replacing an 8-inch asbestos cement pipe with a 12-inch PVC pipe on Elm Avenue. We even have down on 2-7 oak tank maintenance. So the storage tanks need maintenance. We don't just erect them and then just let the water be. They still need to be maintained inside and out. We need to recoat the insides, reline. There's a lot of moving parts for maintenance on that. And we are actually having them inspected by dive teams in October, both of ours, so that we can get to these points and know what we need to repair. We also have seismic retrofit, earthquake proof for our infrastructure for life, health, safety with water. We really want to make sure that our water storage tanks can stand the test of time of an earthquake. So that is planned as well. Priority 3 projects. These are more general projects that are just throughout the city where maybe we don't have to upgrade or upsize, but the infrastructure does age. And so we do need to repair, replace, and sometimes upgrade the size while we're there. And so it's just throughout the city. They're in the older areas, not in any of the new development areas. But the goal is rotation. So you're always consistently doing maintenance to keep the system up and running, and so there aren't any deficiencies. We also have some recently completed water projects. The downtown water main upgrade. It was 4 blocks along the commercial alley between El Camino Real and 8th Street. There was a development, Vintage Meadows, that actually constructed all the new infrastructure for their development. And then the city accepts that and then takes responsibility of that. Cherry Avenue from 10th Street to 1071 Cherry, a new water main extension. 3rd Street from Walnut to 525 3rd Street, new water main extension. Water main extensions may be required in order to meet the flow requirements that are needed for residential or business. And then we like to say SCADA, our SCADA upgrade, which is actually supervisory control and data acquisition. So it's actually, we have different floats. It tells us levels. It tells us if we need to put more water in the tank. It gives us alarms. It's really beneficial. Middle of the night, something goes awry, we're going to hear about it. It's going to ping us on our phones, and we're going to look at the app and see what's going on and come out and repair it, fill it, do whatever we need to do to keep the water flowing. We also have some recently completed wastewater projects. We did an upgrade to the headworks at the wastewater treatment plant. That's right after, and apologize, I didn't grab a picture, but that's right after the wastewater gets to the plant. It goes through the headworks. It's got a screening process, and it elevates up and it pulls out all the grit and solids. And then it has a screw conveyor and it goes into a dumpster. So we remove a lot of solids right off the bat. We had the wastewater treatment plant clarifier rehabilitation. I showed a photo of that earlier. So we cleaned that out. We did a lot of repairs that you need to do, but you can't see because they're underwater. So you have to empty that, take it out of commission, and work around that. The wastewater treatment plant, secondary treatment ponds, we are always doing something out of the treatment ponds. There's different stages. We did line some of our ponds. We've deep ripped the deep ripped some other ponds for the infiltration ponds, and to make the groundwater go down. I mean, it just soaks in. It's clean, like I said, and we're recharging the groundwater. Again, Vintage Meadows, they provided all the construction and infrastructure of the roads and the utilities within their project. Then there was also a new wastewater main extension on Cherry Avenue. And we also have SCADA with the wastewater system too. So the same as I discussed earlier. We get to have alerts. We don't have to go home feeling like, uh-oh, what's going on? It's going to alert us. So utilities, policies, and responsibilities. So there's so many different factors with water and wastewater. So we just want to mention a few different things. The city's municipal code houses all of the policies for utility billing, utility users tax, and of course, design review for planned developments or for residential developments. The general plan discusses the general water, wastewater, and drainage services for the city. Utility master plans, as I discussed in each phase, water, wastewater. I didn't discuss drainage. We are a terminal basin, so that's a good thing. Land development. So if somebody's wanting to develop commercial building or, 30 condos or 500 houses, we have to look at the utilities on the plans and do an infrastructure review. Also downstream, upstream, is it going to have enough capacity? So it's not just that area. We condition projects in accordance with the municipal code, planning commission, conditions of approval, the general plan, the master utility plans, and of course, just general good practice. And any work that a contractor is going to do in the public right of way to repair a sewer lateral, for instance, because that is the homeowner's responsibility, you'd have to get an encroachment permit. You'd have to apply for that so that we can permit it and also do the proper inspections. One of the responsibilities that we have is we call it the River Watch Agreement. We did have a settlement with River Watch, and we have some wastewater collection system and treatment commitments that we are required to do by the end of, I believe it's 2028. I could be wrong, 2026 or 2028. And that includes CCTV of our sewer mains, and not in the new developments, but in the older areas. And then there's a tiered structure for how those are graded. And so certain ones have to be repaired by in a certain time frame. So the city has agreed to do that, and we're working on that request for proposal currently. And so we're going to get that out. The whole city is going to be done within 5 years. That's CCTV, not replacement of everything, but we do have to replace what it tells us that we have to do. Utility rate studies. I know I touched on utility rate studies earlier. I didn't go into it because I knew I had this slide. So we actually done 2 draft rate studies, one for water and one for wastewater. Wastewater has been shown at council one time. There have not been any finalizations of either one of them. But it's financial planning, revenue requirements, and a rate setting analysis. So we do have those. What's the purpose of them? Why do we do these, cyclically, every X amount of years? It's to develop multi-year financial management plans for each utility that integrates capital funding needs for the city's ongoing master plan efforts. So everything's correlating together. We have to identify future rate adjustments to water and sewer rates that will ensure adequate revenues to meet ongoing financial requirements of each utility. That's staffing, maintenance, repair, replacement, capital projects. And then we determine the cost of providing water and sewer service to each identified customer class using industry accepted methodologies. It also recommends specific rate structures that equitable recover the cost of service from each customer and comport the industry. I might have misspelled that. Compare with industry practices and legal requirements. So in general, we're not just raising your rates to raise your rates. There are specific reasons for any rate adjustments, whether it be lower or higher. So this is just a little overview of the water rate study that's still in review by staff. They did a local water rate comparison. And if you look, everything's from lower to higher. Greenfield is yellow, that yellow bar there at $44.90. We are below average. Average is $68.78. There have been some options recommended to us by the consultant that drafted and did the research for this rate study, and we have not committed at this time, and we haven't taken it further to the public because we are still in review. But I did just want to show that right now we are below average. And so we just need to make sure that we're able to financially cover the city's maintenance of these facilities. I have a question.
Just out of curiosity, I can't quite see that one on the far right. Can you tell us who that is?
Yes, that is California American Water, CalAm.
Okay. And where do they serve? I mean, is it all over? So like
Yeah, it's an average of all of their areas. I do not know for sure if this is specific to the Monterey County area, because I know CalAm does the service part of the Monterey County area within some of the cities. Again, same type of chart for the wastewater rate study that has not been finalized. It's still in draft form and staff review. It's set the same, lowest to the left, highest rate to the right, and then you see that green bar, that's the average. So once again, Greenfield is in yellow, so we're at $34.15, which is below average, the average being $46.53. There have been different options recommended to the city. Some are just, they're in kind of the peachish color, peachy orange color. Some that are very near what we are charging now. And then of course, there's one way over there to the right. So staff is looking into all of that to see what the justification is for each one of those options. But as you can see, we have a really good rate right now. The community members. So we're just looking at what works best for the city and the community together. And so we'll be bringing that to council here in a little while. And we have water and wastewater crews. This is our team. So myself, I'm the full-time public works director. We have field staff. I have 3 full-time utility system shift operators. That means they can work on the water or wastewater side. We have 4 full-time utility systems operators. In general, we have them separated at water and wastewater. We do have support staff. I have a full-time executive assistant and a full-time public works office technician, and they support not just me, but the crew. And we do have vacant positions right now. We have a full-time utility operations manager and a full-time water technician, soon to be advertised. So I just wanted to include a little photo so that you can see the team that's maintaining your water and wastewater systems. So if you see them, thank them. Utility crews, the primary responsibilities. Water supply and distribution, they're taking care of water mains, water services, hydrants. We didn't even talk about fire hydrants, and water valve maintenance. Water meters and their maintenance, inspections, reservoir maintenance, which is a storage tank, pump station operations and maintenance, and well operations and maintenance, which is water production. Wastewater collection and treatment, they're taking care of the collection system and the maintenance. Wastewater treatment plant operations and maintenance, lift station operations and maintenance, fats, oils, and grease program, which I didn't touch on yet, which is we call it the FOG program, and the pre-treatment program. And then we also have a shared responsibility with the rest of the public works staff for stormwater collection and percolation pond maintenance. Again, all of that with these people. So we know there are deficiencies. We know we can't get to everything at once, and we do our best to prioritize. So please be patient. I do want to add down here on wastewater collection and treatment, I don't have any slides on it, but the fats, oils, and grease program, the FOG program, really what that is we don't want fats, oils, and greases going down the drain into the wastewater collection system and out to the treatment plant. You might see us quite a lot in the middle of the road with a big truck, sticking something down into a hole. Well, that's a manhole for the wastewater collection system. And typically what we're doing is breaking up gigantic grease globs, fats and greases. And so that clogs the sewer system. So we really like to advocate that any fats, oils, and greases, that you let them harden up and put them in your trash. Utility crews, strategic training goals. Utility crews need training too. So, of course, community satisfaction and service. We're always consistently working on community engagement skills and how they communicate, public awareness, job training, interpersonal skills, technical skills, and program planning skills, going back to prioritization, and career opportunities and job satisfaction. I want people to grow with the city. We teach leadership skills and cooperative skills and how to work with each other in the departments. So I am all for promotion, and I would hope that the community would like that too. And then we can bring in more community members as staff. And that is the end of my presentation. Again, my name is Jamie Tugel. I'm the Public Works Director here at the City of Greenfield. I've put a phone number and email here. Feel free to contact me at any time. And any questions or comments? Seeing none in the audience? I see a question here on Facebook. Why does my water smell like rotten eggs every morning when I turn on the faucet? I have to let the water run for a minute every morning. So that could actually be a variety of reasons. It could be the age of your water service that goes from the meter to your home. It could be if you have a water softener. A lot of times those need to be maintained and have the salts pulled out, cleaned, and put back in. And it could just be, like I said, the age of the pipes. If it is a continuous issue, if those things are eliminated, we're happy to come out. Just call customer service and they'll take down all your information and we'll come out and troubleshoot the area there. Any more questions, comments? All right. Thank you very much for your time.